Mercy, you finally arrived. Wipe the dust from your shoes and come in, sugar. Your presence will be such a tonic for poor, dear Mrs. Beaumont. She's been fanning herself by the window in a state of absolute agitation awaiting you. Now, if y'all can find it in your hearts to indulge us for one fleeting afternoon, we are going to make a brave pretense of having actually paid attention in those drafty schoolrooms of our youth. We are going to cast our eyes upon some literature. Oh, honey, don't recoil like a wilted gardenia. We had that very same visceral reaction, I assure you. But please, don't fret. This won't be some dreary, moth-eaten fourth-grade book report, and it most certainly is not that wretched English 101 paper you ghost wrote for that adorably dull fraternity boy, the one with the jawline of a god and the intellect of a damp brick.
In the shadows of the South, music is never merely a matter of meter or rhyme. It is a blood pulse, a haunting choir rising from the red clay and the stagnant swamp water. These melodies are our true inheritance, carrying the weight of a century's grief and glory in the time it takes for a tallow candle to flicker and die. Within the span of a few desperate minutes, a song unearths the same ghosts that Capote, Flagg, and Mitchell spent hundreds of ink-stained pages trying to exorcise. The secrets they buried in chapters of typeset prose, the family rot, the hidden sins, and the fierce, jagged beauty of our land are all laid bare in the vibration of a single steel string. It wasn't God who made Honky Tonk Angels, performed by Kitty Wells, isn't just a country standard. It's a foundational text in the literature of the South. It represents a rare moment where the Southern woman speaks back to the patriarchy using its own musical and religious vocabulary. Listen closely, for the stories we carry in our marrow are often the ghosts of the truths we dare not whisper over tea in the parlor. It was the year of our Lord 1952. A time when the red clay of the farm was being traded for the cold gray soot of the city, and the great migration of our kin moved from the porch swing to the bar stool. There was a man, a songwriter named J.D. Miller, who sat in the shadows and crafted a vessel. He was the architect, a man building a house for a woman's soul to inhabit, though his intent was merely the silver coin of commerce. He sought an answer, a direct dialogue in that old literary tradition of our soil, to respond to the accusations of Hank Thompson, who had pointed a crooked finger at the wild side of life. In a studio where the light filtered through the blinds like slats in a confessional, Kitty Wells stood before the microphone. She was the subaltern, the voice from beneath the heel of the patriarchy, prepared to speak back using the very musical and religious vocabulary that had long been used to keep her silent. When the needle touched the wax, the air did not stir with heat, but with the sharp, rhythmic chink-a-chink of the acoustic guitar, a heartbeat steady and unforgiving. Then came the fiddle, weeping like a widow at a funeral, and the sliding, melancholic moan of the steel guitar, mirroring the instability of a room where the floor is slick with spilled spirits and broken promises. It is said by the old ones that every word has a shadow, and Kitty's voice was a first-person confessional that demanded an audience. She was an exceptionally reliable narrator, for she did not merely sing, she dissected the social cause and effect of her own ruin. The bright lights she sang of were a visual synecdoche, a shimmering veil for the loss of domesticity and the cruel temptation of the neon night. She spoke of the Honky Tonk angel, a metaphor for the fallen, but she did so with a sharp, low-country precision that cut through the mendacity of the age. By declaring that God did not create these angels, she revealed them to be social constructs, creatures fashioned by the hands of men, not the breath of the divine. The rhythm of her lament carried the soft S of shame and sin, only to be struck down by the hard, biting T of trust in the honky-tonk itself, creating a tension that felt like a cord snapping in the dark. This was the working-class South transitioning into the industrial machine, where the Baptist and Pentecostal morality of the pulpit was dragged into the beer joints. She took the language of the Bible Belt conscience and used it to argue her case in the tavern, elevating the woman dismissed as white trash to a subject worthy of a grand literary defense. There was no moonlight and magnolias here, no romanticized perfume of the plantation. Instead, we found the southern realism of broken marriages and the secrets buried beneath the surface of a polished coffee table. She subverted the trope of the tragic passive victim, turning the good old boy into the faithless husband with a single, steady gaze. The world beyond our borders might have seen a land of rigid morality and smoky rooms, but we who live here saw the steel magnolia archetype shatter. Kitty Wells became the queen of country music because she opened a door that had been barred by the men for generations, carving a path for the daughters like Loretta and Dolly to walk through. It was a monument of social reckoning, a text that used our own drawl to dismantle a double standard as old as the hills. It was never truly about the bar, you see. It was about the human cost of a culture that asks a woman to bear the weight of a man's wandering heart.
Now don't stand there looking at me with those wide, wounded eyes, honey. I can't bear a scene when the humidity's this high. If you're looking for that melody, that sweet, aching little tune we just talked about, it's waiting for you down in the description. It's tucked away like a love letter you weren't supposed to find, but there it is, plain as the moon over the delta. And listen to me, sugar, don't be cruel. Reach out your hand and tap that like icon, and for heaven's sake, subscribe to us. A soul needs a little attention to keep from fading away into the wallpaper, and we've always depended on the kindness of strangers like you.